What's going on, everyone? My name is Mo Awesome, and I'm here with a mountain biker's guide to breaking your collarbone. So for those of you who know me or seen me around town, seen me at Pro Bike Supply, you've probably noticed that about a month ago I broke my collarbone. When it happened, I was actually pretty shocked because even though I've ridden for all these years, ridden kind of some big terrain, some gnarly trails, I've actually never broken my collarbone before. So even though I had a lot of buddies who've broken their collarbones, I know I was up in Whistler once for a trip, my buddy broke it there. I've taken care of buddies who've broken them locally, picked them up from the trails, and so I have a lot of buddies that've been around it, but I've never actually been on the receiving end. So when it did happen, I actually was kind of shocked, didn't really know what to expect, wasn't really the most informed in terms of how to treat it or the recovery process. So now that I just went back to an ortho a couple days ago. It looks like I'm going to be back in action pretty soon. I figured, I don't know, I've been thinking about the whole time, I want to make like an informational video in terms of like the act of breaking your collarbone, the recovery process, what to expect, just to kind of, I know mountain biking and broken collarbones kind of go hand in hand, unfortunately. So I figured kind of giving people a little bit of informational video so that if you're watching this, you've just broken yours, you're curious what the recovery time, you want to kind of ease some anxiety, some stress, or just have some answers to the questions you have, you'll have a little bit of video. So I'd like to start this video off obviously by saying I am not a medical professional. I just ride bikes. So just kind of putting that out there. So always consult your doctors before you consult me for medical advice. So I'm more hoping to kind of answer any questions, just kind of give you a little bit look into my mindset during my injury and maybe help some mountain bikers out. So all right, so number one, it's actually not going to hurt that much when you break your collarbone. So, for anyone watching who's like also part of the I've never broken my collarbone club, which is I guess a pretty rare breed, and you're just curious, does it hurt? The actual break of my collarbone didn't actually hurt that much. So I had a pretty gnarly crash. I was going pretty fast, I OTB'd. I went straight to my head, so it was basically a shoulder and a head impact. I had the wind knocked out of me all at once because I was moving so fast. And so when I first kind of impacted, if you've never had the wind knocked out of you, it's like it's a pretty weird feeling. You just have like you can't breathe. And then I know the first time ever I had the wind knocked out of me, I was like 4 years old. Or 6. I was really young, and I remember I was on a swing. I tried swinging. I want to see how far up I could just get off and jump off, and I landed on my back. And I remember freaking out. I thought I was going to die. So because I've had that early on, I've had the wind knocked out of me a ton of times over the years through surfing and mountain biking. I kind of know what to expect. So if you've never had the wind knocked out of you, don't panic when it first happens. Like just tell yourself, okay, I'm gonna get my breath back. I try to take like small breaths as best I can, and then it just slowly comes back, and then you're good. So it's like it's scary when it first happens. You get the wind knocked out of you, but it's honestly I know for as much as it freaks people out. Try not to panic. I know it's tough. It's easier said than done, but just know that your breath will come back. But yeah, so I hit the ground, my helmet caved in, I guess I broke my collarbone in the process, and it didn't hurt that much. And then I guess that's also like your body has adrenaline, all these like chemicals move inside your body to kind of protect you. So, but yeah, it wasn't this excruciating amount of pain. I've had a gnarlier crash in the past where I actually tore my calf. That one sucked. Like I don't recommend tearing your calf. Way more painful than breaking your collarbone. Yeah, as soon as I went over the bars, I pretty much knew I was going to break my collarbone. It was just one of those crashes where the angle I kind of got launched off the bike, where I was going, it was just this weird gut feeling. Like I was like, I'm going to break my collarbone. Shout out to Troy Lee Designs. I'm actually not sponsored whatsoever. I buy my helmets, but that helmet, like for as hard as I hit my head, I didn't get knocked out. So I know a lot of us are always like, man, these helmets are so expensive. Like, do they actually even do anything? But yeah, Troy Lee, A2 MIPS, plus my hair most likely, didn't even get knocked out. But yeah, so hit the ground, helmet caved in, broke my collarbone. I instinctively knew, like I was like, something's off. It was this weird feeling. And then the first thing you're gonna do when you break your collarbone is you're gonna take your hand I can't say it's gonna be first thing, but all you gotta do is like, you just gotta feel your collarbone. And then I felt my right one and I was like, okay, that one's going to the shoulder, that feels normal. And then I felt my left one and I was like, that doesn't feel right, it doesn't feel like the right one. So I pretty much knew, and so I was lucky enough to where I didn't get knocked out. I hiked my bike out, was with a buddy of mine. We hiked on out of the trail. And then, so that was breaking my collarbone. So it's not going to hurt that much. When it does happen, you are going to have so many things going through your mind. Number one for me, I'm a very active person. All I do really is kind of surf, ride, coach, hike, everything outdoors. So I was super bummed out that I wasn't going to be able to do that for the next few weeks. And so that was kind of going through my mind. Work was kind of going through my mind, and just all these thoughts. So your mind's going to be racing. Like I said earlier, it's easier said than done. You need to try and relax a little bit. That much stress and that much worry and that much kind of just thoughts running through your mind, it's not going to help you out at that moment. So try and relax, try and take a couple deep breaths. The first thing is going to figure out if you want to go to the emergency room. For me personally, I slammed my head so hard, my helmet kind of cracked through. I kind of wanted to make sure everything was okay on that front. Just kind of get everything checked out. Looking back at it, I might not have needed to go to the emergency room, but honestly, it's always a safe bet. Like, especially if you crash on your head. I've heard of so many kind of horror stories where there's something else kind of going inside. The other thing too, be aware that you're eating and drinking during this time period of you going to the doctor to kind of get checked up at the emergency room. I ended up going to the ER. They did kind of a CAT scan on my head. They got an x-ray of my shoulder. When I was there, you don't really know how long you're at the emergency room or you're at the doctor's until you kind of check the time. So it's just this weird effect that you're sitting, you're waiting to be seen, you're waiting for the x-ray, you're waiting for the doctor to read the x-ray. So by the time everything was all said and done, it had been about like 3 hours since I actually broke my collarbone. And I hadn't drinking anything, I hadn't eaten anything. I had been riding that day. I was probably on hour number 5 of riding. So pretty dehydrated, pretty hungry. And I just remember anytime I was trying to go to stand up, I'd feel super woozy. I couldn't really figure out why. Turns out I needed calories and I needed water. So as soon as I kind of got calories in me, got water, that dizziness and that kind of nauseous feeling went away. So do keep in track. I've heard from other buddies, same thing kind of happened to them too. You kind of go to the emergency room, you don't really know how long you're there until you check the time. So try to drink water, try to eat. The other thing is, like I said, the thing that I said about relaxing, even though it's easier said than done, try to just breathe, try to not think about the next few weeks. Try to put yourself at ease mentally wise. There's gonna be a lot of stress, a lot of racing thoughts, medical bills, work, all these other things. Just try and just calm down in that moment. So the stress, even though I'm a believer that stress helps me out personally, in that moment you don't need that much stress. You just need to just relax. Number 2, this is going to be still part of the recovery process initially. There's going to be a couple of things that you're going to have to decide on. Some of them actually decided for you by your doctor. So number 1, the big one, surgery versus non-surgery. So as soon as I broke mine, I was just mentally like, okay, I need to get this plated ASAP. By plate, I mean like surgery to kind of get the plate in there so I can get on the bike as soon as possible. Because I know I've heard the stories, I have buddies who you get that thing plated, you're back on the bike. I've heard sometimes within a week or two. So as soon as I broke mine, I just mentally was like, hey, I want to get that thing plated. I didn't really even think about anything else. Didn't think about any downsides of getting the surgery or anything like that, or even if I could get the surgery. But that was literally my first thought, was like, okay, how do I get this thing plated today? Couple of bummer parts for me. Number 1, I actually broke my collarbone pretty close to my shoulder. I guess they call it a distal fracture. And I broke it all the way through. Like, it was a solid break. So I spoke to a couple of orthos after. A couple days later, I kind of got it re-x-rayed, and they were looking at it, and unfortunately, because when you break it that close to the shoulder, I guess it's not the easiest to plate. they need to use like this special plating where like they raise your shoulder or something like that, and it would require 2 surgeries because I would have to get that hardware out because it would be way too uncomfortable in my shoulder. And so when we were talking about like the pros of surgery in my case, I was told that even though I might get back on the bike a little bit sooner initially, they would have to go in and get the plates again. There's a chance of wound complication. And then I just kind of started reading on the whole surgery bit. Me personally, like the surgery itself, after I started reading on it, because in the beginning I was just this mountain bike dirtbag needing to get back on the bike, hurry up, throw a plate on it, we're ready to go. But after reading about the surgery, talking to my buddy, super awesome, a friend of a friend actually, he was super rad. He walked me through it, and I was just told that in my case, surgery might not be the most beneficial thing. And that was kind of tough to swallow at first. I know my ortho actually told me at first, and then I had to get like a couple other opinions just to kind of confirm it, because mentally I was just like, okay, plate and I'm back on the bike. But now you're being told that surgery might not be the best case. And then I started reading on surgery versus non-surgery. And I kind of got swayed towards non-surgery. So the whole natural healing kind of process, not kind of getting your body like fully doped up for that surgery. There's just kind of like a couple of small things where it was just like, maybe surgery isn't necessarily like the best case scenario, especially if you don't need it. Like I was told that, hey, I'm not going to need a plate, and actually it's going to heal completely fine without the plate. I know there's people out there, I know somebody who've shattered theirs, they need the surgery. And in that case, I'm 100% get that surgery. However, if you're ortho, and listen to your ortho folks, like they're pretty smart people. If they tell you like, no, that doesn't need surgery, or that's going to heal completely fine without surgery, I think a natural healing process on that might be beneficial. Once again, I'm not a doctor, but that was for my case. So yeah, surgery versus non-surgery. I know a lot of us hear those stories where you kind of got to get that thing plated to get back on the bike ASAP. Sometimes the non-surgery route ends up being preferred. In my case, that's kind of what I went with. So number 3. So this is going to be kind of the dealing with the mental aspect of everything. First happened, I was like, oh man, like this is not gonna be good. Like I'm gonna go mentally insane by not being able to ride, not being able to surf. So I knew instantly that I needed to make a plan. Like I needed to have things to keep me busy so that I wasn't like just dreading not riding my bike. So for me personally, I had a couple of things that I haven't worked on. Me and Hannah have been building our van out. We have a Mercedes Sprinter, and I mean, we have been putting that thing off because all I really want to do is ride. All we want to do is ride, travel. So for me personally, it was the perfect time to kind of order all the stuff for the van build and just start working on it. And I made the goal in my head, I want the van built out by the time I'm back in action, which I thought was a realistic goal. I'm starting to realize that I'm going to be back in action a little bit faster than I initially thought. But it was cool. It gave me something to work on and keep busy. The other thing is I ended up buying this camera that I'm filming on, and I just started this series called Local Riders Friday, where it's a cool thing where I just kind of spotlight riders, and I kind of do like mini shred edits and do a little bit of interview about the rider. And then I also take photos of the riders, kind of get into mountain bike photography. Yeah, shout out to Ryan McGarity. He was a lifesaver. He helped me get this camera sold to me. And it just like freaking kept me busy. Like the whole taking photos, taking riding videos, making little shred edits, learning video editing. And just kind of opened like this door, just all these things that I would have never honestly done while riding because I just wanted to ride my bike all the time. But yeah, I was super stoked. So that kind of also kept me busy. Yeah, I can highly recommend just get some hobbies, make a list, maybe make a to-do list of things you've been putting off that you just haven't done. Another thing for me was working on the company me and Hannah have, and just kind of finalizing a lot of things that we've been putting off, like the back end of things. Because when you're just kind of go all the time, you just want to ride, surf, coach. A lot of paperwork, a lot of logistics, a lot of the back end stuff kind of gets put to the side. So yeah, it gave me time to work on that. But yeah, so make a list of things that you've been putting off, that you haven't been doing, that you want to kind of just make like a little checklist. And then kind of pick up a couple of new hobbies that you can do. Number 4, this is going to be a little bit more on the kind of taking care of yourself aspect. So when you have a broken collarbone, your body's kind of going into overdrive mode. It's healing this bone. And it's it's a pretty gnarly thing. I mean, at the end of the day, your body's literally fixing itself, especially if you go the non-surgical route. The first thing in that category is your diet. So really pay attention to your diet. Do a lot of research here in terms of food groups that you should be eating, food groups that you maybe should try to avoid in this kind of time, just to kind of help that bone grow. For me personally, I'm on a plant-based diet. I'm vegan. So I basically just already only eat kind of plant-based foods. And so I really I doubled up my research. I did all this research, okay, plant-based foods that help bone growth. And I was hit with a bunch of these categories, like almonds are amazing for it, broccoli are amazing for it, apples are amazing for it, oranges are amazing for it. And so I knew that I had to just freaking consume these things by the ton load. And that was another thing, is consuming food by the ton load. So I did a lot of research too, and I guess your body uses a lot more calories when it's trying to repair a bone. So you have to make sure that you're consistently giving your body food. So I made sure that I was eating enough calories. I don't normally calorie count. I didn't really calorie count here, but I just made sure that if I was hungry, I was eating. I was consistently giving my body enough fuel to repair this bone. I was eating the right food groups, eating the right nutrients. I was freaking downing smoothies like crazy. It's all about giving your body the tools to heal itself. So yeah, really kind of analyze your diet, figure out, for me personally, I was a firm believer that plant-based diet was going to help me recover a little bit easier. I've done some research, there's a lot of studies out there that kind of go in that direction. Once again, I'm not a doctor, so do your own research, but for me, it was a plant-based diet, and I mean, essentially, I just was just eating almonds, broccoli, apples, oranges, smoothies, hemp, seeds, freaking a ton of these just super good food to help with bone growth. So another thing, so number two was that I had a ton of freaking muscle pain too. Because I mean, in the sling, in the figure eight brace, you're just in this certain kind of body position the whole time. And so for me, I was just getting super tense muscles. Everything was kind of tightening up. So hitting the jacuzzi actually helped the muscles kind of relax a little bit. And then I've read a couple of things where it might actually help accelerate bone growth. But like I said, I'm not a medical professional. I would do some research on that front. But yeah, so the jacuzzi is actually super helpful. I found it's helpful during basically all of my injuries and also recovery time too. Anytime I do a really big ride, I try to hit the jacuzzi after. I think drink a ton of water. Make sure you're hydrated. That's super crucial. Not only to when you are training, but I mean, now in this case too, when you have a broken bone, you want to just make sure that you're helping your body out. You're on your body's team and you're giving it the tools to succeed. So drink a ton of water, make sure you're getting your nutrients, make sure you're getting calories in. And yeah, so that's going to be a little bit on the taking care of yourself aspect. Also, the first week of breaking your collarbone is going to be the most painful. So that stuff that I said earlier, when you first break it doesn't hurt, it doesn't because of the adrenaline. As soon as that stuff winds down, the pain meds they give you at the doctor wind off a little bit, it's going to hurt a ton. So take whatever pain meds you're prescribed, or whether you want to do ibuprofen instead. But I'm not going to lie, the first couple of days are going to be the most painful in terms of sleeping, in terms of movement. It's probably going to be that way actually for a week. After that, the pain goes down significantly. So if you're experiencing pain in your first week, do realize that will go down. Number 5. This one is basically the worries about getting out of shape. If you're anything like me, cardio is insane for you. You love cardio, you love climbing. So my first concern was, oh man, I'm going to be so out of shape. I'm going to lose any fitness I have, any cardio I have. I'm telling you this right now, you are not going to lose an insane amount. I mean, you're going to lose a lot of cardio, but it's not going to be like you're starting from day one. You're going to need a bike for 4 years to catch up. I've had injuries in the past where I haven't been able to ride for about a month or 2, 3 months sometimes. And when you come back, it's actually the first couple of weeks are really hard cardio-wise, but you get it back pretty quick. So that's the cool thing with mountain biking. So don't worry about too much there. Try to find some activities that are going to help your cardio out while you're down and out and can't mountain bike. A lot of people told me to get on a trainer. Don't feel bad if you don't get on a trainer. I can't freaking stand trainers. I can't stand stationary bikes. I tried it. I lasted about 30 seconds on one and I was done and out. So I had to find something else, and for me personally it was hiking. So doing these shreddeds, I was able to kind of get on the trails, do a lot of hiking. I was hiking on my own, hiking with Hannah. But yeah, anytime I can kind of get out there and hike, I was doing that cardio. I was going for long walks. And yeah, I feel like even though I can tell my cardio has gone down, it actually wasn't as gnarly as I thought it was going to be. And kind of the hiking too, what it allows me to do, it allows me to get back in nature, kind of get back out there on the trails. I feel super zenned out there. And so yeah, anytime you can kind of incorporate hiking into like your recovery, I definitely kind of recommend that. So you're not going to be going back to square one when you kind of get back into the sport. You'll be okay, I'll be okay. So yeah, don't stress out too much about that. And that's another thing. It leads me to another point. Have a positive mindset as much as you can. I can't sit here and tell you that it's been all roses and flowers and sunshine. I've had definitely kind of my kind of bummer moments where you're just kind of super bummed out that you're down and out. But a good majority of my recovery time has been trying to keep a positive outlook on things, and just kind of thinking positive thoughts. So if I hadn't broken my collarbone, wouldn't have had the van fully built out by the time, or close to built out by the time I get back into the sport. Wouldn't have had all these things dialed in with awesome MTB that we've been working on. So we've definitely been kind of putting it off, haven't been really kind of focused on it. And so it gave us kind of time to kind of work on it, put the time in. I would have never gone into photography. I would have never gone into videography. I would have never learned how to edit. I would have never kind of made these little shredits. I would have never figured out how much joy taking photos and videos of someone else would actually bring me, just because it allows me to kind of see them stoked at the final product. So all these kind of cool things that kind of came from this. I'm getting a new bike too. As you guys probably, if you watched my last video, you'll notice I did sell the Yeti. I just figured I was going to be out for a month or two, so might as well sell it and then get a new bike. I am a bike whore. I'll confess it a million times over. But yeah, so there's all these cool things that came out of my injury. So try to stay positive, and I'm a firm believer that positive thoughts bring positive things. As hippy dippity as that sounds, that's my belief. Yeah, so try and stay positive outlook. Like I said, it's not going to be easy. You are going to have your bummer moments where you're just going to be blaming yourself for crashing, all these things. Don't do that. Crashing is part of the sport. It's one of those things unavoidable, especially if you're riding a ton. It's just one of those things where, I mean, it comes with the sport. Like I said, it's just one of the risks, and it happens. And part of the sport is dealing with injuries. So another thing, you're probably going to be stressing a ton that you're re-injuring your collarbone. I do this a ton when I am injured, and I do like a weird misstep or something like that, or I move my shoulder, or when I had a calf, like I would walk a certain way and I would feel something and I would be so paranoid that I re-injured it. You got to quiet those thoughts. You're going to get a lot of those where you're like, oh, am I re-injuring? Am I not healing? Am I not doing this correctly? Like I said, unnecessary stress doesn't bring too much. It just kind of takes a toll on you. So you got to try your best to kind of quiet those thoughts, and just kind of trust that you're healing, you're healing the correct way, you're doing everything right. Keep a positive outlook on things, and yeah, it's all going to get better. So another thing for me too is a really good friend of mine named Micah. He actually referred me this plant. It's called Comfrey. And like I said, I got long hair. I'm on the hippie program. I'm all about kind of like natural things. So this plant was super rad to kind of learn, read about. I did a lot of research into it. But like I said, its old name was bone knitting plant, and it was used to kind of help treat fractures. So I use that plant. It's available, I found at Mother's Market. You can kind of find it in kind of more natural health stores. So if you are a believer in that stuff, I'm just going to link the description down there. I don't know where down there actually is, but if you are a believer in that stuff, you kind of want to check it out. I thought it was cool. It's not for everyone, but yeah. So the plant is called Comfrey. So shout out to Micah for helping me figure that out. So recovery time on a broken collarbone is normally about like 2 to 3 months. From what I hear is like the average time. So you can kind of get back on there and start mountain biking again. I just got it re-x-rayed, and I've been out for about a month now, a little bit over a month and a half. And I was told that they're going to give me the green light. He said that it was healing kind of super rad. It fused really nicely. And I'm going to be getting the green light, hopefully, to start mountain biking again with no restriction in about 3 weeks. So I would say all in all for me, it's about 7.5 to 8 weeks was total recovery time, or will be. We'll see how it goes. I'll update you for sure. Yeah, so that's my mountain biker's guide to breaking your collarbone. Hopefully I've kind of helped at least one person out there by watching this video. Maybe I've shed some light on a few things, kind of answered some questions, or maybe you're just laughing at me in this video, and in which case hopefully I've brightened your day. But yeah, so my name is Mo Awesome. That's a mountain biker's guide to breaking your collarbone. If you like the video, don't forget to subscribe and I'll keep making more of them. But yeah, thanks to everyone for the support. Thanks to Pro Bike Supply. They've been super awesome while I've been healing. Thanks to Hannah for taking care of me, putting up with me all this time, and all my friends who I've been freaking just bugging nonstop to kind of get photos and videos. And then all the support from people who've been super encouraging, been there for me. And yeah, just thanks to the mountain bike community in general for being super rad. But I'll see you guys out there soon, and you!